Is going on, Woodward Bets Nation? We are back here on a Thursday. Beer and Beastie in the house. Scott, who knows what that guy's up to these days? We're going to give him a day off here, though. And we are back to talk. There he is. He probably couldn't figure out how to get logged in today. If you don't know, Scott's like 100 years old, trapped in like, I don't even know how old Scott is now, 70-year-old body. So, he struggles a little bit with these technology and computers, Beastie. So we'll give him the day off, see if he can figure it out. But how are you, my man? Welcome into the show.
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. I was going to say, if Scott could do the whole show with just a dry erase board, I think he'd be like, top 5 show in the country because he's good at a dry erase marker and the whiteboard there. But yeah, I'm great. It was a pleasant surprise. I say it every time. Folks probably will get sick of me saying this, and even you here, anytime I get the text or a phone call, hey, Chris, you want to pop on with Beer? You want to pop on with Scott? Just a pleasant surprise. And again, as I've always said, my notes, they're always available. So when you say, hey, you want to come on and talk hockey, there's literally no extra work I have to do because the notes, they flow regardless if I'm on a broadcast or I'm just home alone in my basement.
Love to hear it, man. It takes a good team, takes a village, as they say. So we're glad to have you as a big part of the team. Appreciate everything you do. And, of course, hockey is the premier sport here tonight. So we want to get the news and notes. We know the people out there love them some Beasties. So we're going to give them what they want. We will talk some NHL here on the show today. NBA smaller slates, we'll break that down for you as well. No local action here tonight, Beastie. No Michigan, no Michigan State, no Red Wings. So nothing to go deeper on here today. But let's open up with the Pistons. I mean, a big win last night. So as far as the best bets went, mine went 2-2. Detroit really shocked me. I thought Sacramento would roll in this game. Did hit on the Bagley over in Dallas. So 2-2, not a bad day. Scott, 1 win and 1 push in his bet. So all in all, a profitable day. But did you catch any of this Pistons game? I mean, a very high-scoring game here. They end up getting the win, 133-131 out there in Sacramento last night.
I caught the last few minutes of the game, and then per usual in the morning when you're waking up, you're having coffee, right? I just check the box scores and things like that. The one thing that stood out to me, not really about the game action, but with the Pistons, Woodward. It was a graphic I saw Woodward Sports put out not too long ago about the availability of what's his name, Jamari Grant here. Like they're looking for a nice. Yeah, they're looking for a nice hefty return there. And that, to be honest with you, I'm never going to lie or smoke and mirrors when I'm broadcast, especially with you or the Woodward sports fans here. But I didn't know how good this kid's been playing. I mean, the Pistons are asking for 2 first-round picks back if anybody wants the kid, or first-round pick in a higher-end kind of young player here. So could you imagine if someone goes for that? And again, with the NBA and teams always building these super teams, I could see it being a case here. Again, it would stink to lose him, but that price tag is it's too good to be true. It's literally a king's ransom for Grant here, and I guess you'd have to take that. But to me, I'm partial to the whole thing because I'm a Pistons guy.
Yeah, he seems to be the jewel right now of the NBA trade talks. I mean, of course, Ben Simmons, a big name that's being tossed around. De'Aaron Fox with the Kings. It looks like he went from untouchable to, we're going to talk about him. Sabonis with the Pacers, hearing a lot of talk, but you got to give it up for the Pistons. I mean, they signed Jeremy Grant. I don't think a lot of people knew who he was coming over from Denver, kind of more of a role player with the Nuggets, but he showed last season. He's got what it takes, and if you're a rebuilding team like the Pistons, a guy like Jeremy Grant, it's nice to have around, but if this is the return you're going to be able to get for him, you want to continue adding to this young core, and there'll come a time that, yes, you need to add some veterans around some of these young guys, but I think the timing is perfect for a trade of Jeremy Grant, especially, like you said, if they can get anything close to what is being talked about. I don't know that they get that return, but you never know. Some of these teams that are in contention, they're looking for that piece. We know Grant's missed we've been out of action here for a couple weeks, but like I said, maybe they're keeping him on ice here. But let's look at some of the numbers here for the Pistons. Huge game from Saddiq Bey, 30 points leading the way. A welcome addition to the lineup. Kelly Olynyk comes back, 22 minutes, drops 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists in that one. Magruder, 15 off the bench, 19 for Corey Joseph. And Cade Cunningham, a little bit of a struggle here, only 13 points, and didn't do much of anything. 0 assists and only 1 rebound. So kind of an off night for Cade, and they still get it done. The Kings obviously were headlined by Terrence Davis and his 35 points, 27 for Fox. And we gave you that over on Marvin Bagley's points last night. He scored 17. That over was sitting, I believe, at 10.5 or 11.5. So easy win on that one for you guys if you tailed that. But an impressive win here, Beastie. We'll see if that fuels the Pistons on here. It springs them forward. They had struggled on back-to-back. Scott kind of brought up some of the numbers yesterday, but again, a big win out there in Sacramento.
Yes, it was nice work by them. And in a way, while you're talking, you say it's great that the Pistons are putting together a collection of kids here. But if they're up and coming or rebuilding, that to keep a guy like Grant around, just to keep him there is nice, and to make that move to acquire more picks or another young end kid. My first thought was, and obviously I'm kidding when I say this, but is Steve Yzerman running the Pistons as well here? Because it seems to be a kind of a move here across the board with these Detroit teams. This is not to take away from what the Pistons are doing or what they did last night. I'm just overall excited about the long-term outlook of our Detroit teams here. I know this isn't the time or place for it. We're talking about Pistons basketball beating Sacramento here, but it goes to show you that every few years it's a wave in all major sports towns, right? That you're down and out, and then you kind of go and boom. And I think that the Pistons, Wings, and the Lions are on their way back to the top, or top for the first time, being a Lions guy. But to me, it's all exciting. So watching these games close, like the Pistons game, and dissecting it as you're reading out the points scored and the rebounds and everything, it's a good move to do that, just if you want to plan a little bit ahead for next time they play on the next DFS slate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on them anytime they're on the slate. We'll dig in and find some props, things we like, of course. So before we get into NHL, NBA, I want to let you guys know a new sponsor of the show here, and we're grateful to have them on board. Better Rate Mortgage, the new sponsor of the Woodward Bets crew. So at Better Rate Mortgage, family is more than blood. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better. With Better Rate Mortgage, visit mybetterrate.com, or you can give them a call, 248-480-4467 today. So grateful to have them on board. So any mortgage needs, make sure you're heading over there. Again, just gave you the phone number, or mybetterrate.com. Also, if you're not following us on Twitter yet, what are you doing? You guys enjoy the show. We're trying to grow that brand. So Woodward Bets on Twitter. Make sure you're following the network as well, at Woodward Sports. A lot of great shows going on all throughout the day. New podcast with the Woodward Heavyweights. So make sure you're checking that out as well. But all the information there on Twitter. So make sure you're giving a follow. And anywhere you listen, if you're on YouTube, sound off in the comment section. We love talking sports with you guys there. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Get notified when these shows go live. Also, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor. Make sure you leave that 5-star review. Spread the word here about Woodward Bets, and we greatly appreciate it. So, BC, let's talk a little bit NFL. If you're looking for kind of a breakdown of everything, Scott and I got into it yesterday. I gave our initial look at the slate, some plays we liked, looking at some of the numbers. So you can always go back and rewatch that show on demand. We'll also be back Saturday morning, Sunday morning, getting more in depth on these games with all the latest news. But speaking of the latest news, let's get into it. I think the big news item in the NFL, obviously, Derrick Henry. We're still waiting on that final status here. They're going to make that decision tomorrow. Do you think he gives it a go here? And I guess the question, if he does play, what are we expecting out of Derrick Henry? Are we expecting him to be the guy that we saw in the past? Are they going to ease him in? Is it going to be dependent on how the game is going? What are your expectations this weekend for Derrick Henry?
It's in a way, Beer, this is too good to be true. And what I'm about to tell you is nothing profound here. You look at Derrick Henry, the graphics at the bottom, number 22. Tennessee plays on Saturday, 1-22, 22. So it's 2-2 across the board here. Any of you, Keno players or Powerball number guys, take 22 and box it and square it, whatever the heck you do at the local lottery joints or gas stations. But to me, I do firmly believe Derrick Henry plays a full allotment of snaps here. We've seen now he was kind of, I wouldn't say he was, but the organization, the Titans, they were kind of hemming and hawing where he could have played the last game of the season here. But you know what? They said, look at this, right? We got a first round bye. We're already in. Why are we going to fool around with Derrick Henry's status? And he had surgery on a broken foot, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here. So why even tempt it so that they get the first round bye during wild card weekend? So now we're looking at a case here where Henry has had 2 weeks, even more than that, because he was on the IR and all that. And when you look at Derrick Henry, just looking at the graphic, it doesn't do him justice. This guy is a massive human being. Beer, he's about my height. You're a few inches taller than I am. I'm like 6'3", you're 6'5". I believe Derrick Henry is my height, but you got to add literally about 100 pounds of muscle here. This guy's like 274, 275. Maybe in this off time, he slimmed down a little bit because he was able to kind of move around, work out his upper body, sit on a recumbent bike. I don't know what his, rehab, training mentality was, but to me, this guy is an absolute monster. And again, he's not built like most of the other running backs in the NFL. To be fair, I don't think Derrick Henry is built like any other running back in the NFL. This guy, he's a nightmare. I know I keep saying that. He's a monster. I love watching him play. And if Tennessee knows what's good for them, there he is. And that's Mark Ingram. And Mark Ingram looks like some fan they plucked out of the sidelines to stand next to Derrick Henry. And this is college. So we're looking at, how old do you think Henry is here? 19, 20, if that. The guy in that photo that you're seeing right now probably wasn't even allowed to drink, yet he could have probably taken whatever he wanted to, at the grocery store or the liquor spot. So to me, Derrick Henry is going to play this weekend. It's massive. And you look at his price tag, a lot of these DFS sites, they skipped right ahead. Boom. Derrick Henry, $9,000 on FanDuel, $7,500 on DraftKings. And I think he's worth every penny of this. I sent out a tweet earlier today, hashtag pounding power. I didn't even mean to be like dirty or illicit here, but again, he has that pounding power, number 22 on 122-22. This guy's going to smash. And when you look at the over under, I mean, we can get into the game here as the week goes down here, but yes, I think Derrick Henry plays, and I think it's going to be tough sledding for Cincinnati given his play style. And again, I think there's no limitations on him either. We're going to see a full workload. We're going to see him just pounding folks, slamming them into the ground, and I'm going to love every minute of it. Although I do like Cincinnati, kind of gives you hope as a Lions fan. But to me, Derrick Henry absolutely will play on Saturday.
Love the number symmetry there. I'm a numbers guy, so bunch twos are wild here with Derrick Henry. 22 on 22nd of 2022. I like it. So those twos coming up flush. I agree with you. I think they're going to ride Derrick Henry as much as they have to. If that's what it takes to win this game, that's what he is built for. That photo is incredible because the guy next to him is Mark Ingram, who is no small guy. I mean, but he makes him look like a child. And if you want to have some fun, you got some time to burn today, obviously, after the Woodward Bets crew goes off the air here. But go to YouTube and watch some Derrick Henry highlights from high school. You want to talk about a man amongst boys. I mean, this guy's numbers were absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So take some time and go watch that. But I agree with everything you said. I think he is going to be back in that lineup. I think they're going to feed him as much as they need to. If they can get out, get a lead, rest him a little bit for the following week. That's certainly something that they'll have within their realm of possibilities. But I think he's going to be back in a big part of that offense this weekend. So other news here real quick with the playoff teams, Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, they're one of their defensive leaders. It's going to try to help slow down Derrick Henry and company. He was cleared out of the concussion protocol, so he will play. No practice today for Marquez Valdes-Scantling for Green Bay, so certainly a concern there. They are expected to have Randall Cobb back, so I think that a very interesting play we talked about yesterday on the show. So, and Leonard Fournette back at practice as well. So, Beast, any thoughts on that? Anything to add here in the NFL?
Yeah, I will say in terms of what's going on with Green Bay with MVS, and then you can get, what's his name back, Randall Cobb. Regardless, I love Allen Lazard this weekend. And again, as the week progresses and we get more shows under our belt before kickoff on Saturday and Sunday, Allen Lazard, it might sound crazy. You can make fun of me or rake me over the coals here. But again, I've already started to build some DFS lines, and I literally started with Allen Lazard and T. Higgins here. So it's just the way my mind is moving. Once I have a thought or I see see something in the numbers, I act on it right away because I don't want to forget about it. So to me, Allen Lazard, regardless of MVS's status or Randall Cobb's status, he is absolutely going to be in a ton of exposure, as those in the DFS game say here. And when you look at Leonard Fournette, I love that as well. I'm a fan of guys like Leonard Fournette or Derrick Henry here. Leonard Fournette is going to bring a certain, dare I say, a different swagger to this Tampa Bay team when he's carrying the ball here, because he is absolutely tough. And anytime they give him the ball, he can just pound somebody down or make them miss, and he stands up and he's, yeah, you know what I mean? So again, Tom Brady, an outstanding player, probably the best quarterback I've ever seen in my lifetime. Adding back Leonard Fournette just gives them just another little layer of just in your face. This is what we're going to do. We're going to tell you what we're going to do, and good luck stopping us, Rams and Matthew Stafford. So to me, that's a huge boost. I mean, this is one of the best weekends of sports ever, and we get Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette back, similar styles in terms of running the ball. So this is fantastic. I can't wait for this weekend.
Absolutely. And, the reason we're the best producers out there, in my opinion, I love these guys. So Spencer, Easy, they're getting their time on the camera with their podcast, but always want to give these guys credit, the people behind the scenes that work so hard, and you're stuck with our ugly mugs, but these guys are putting in a ton of work. But Spencer found Derrick Henry's stats from high school. So Spencer, go ahead and throw that up here. I mean, look at these stats, Beastie. I mean, even as a freshman, 2,400 yards, 26 touchdowns. Look at that senior year, 4,200 rushing yards, 55 touchdowns. I mean, average 327 yards a game. Look at him standing there next to that coach. I mean, this guy, again, a man amongst boys. So thoughts on these stats? I've never seen anything like these stats. I'm going to be honest.
Well, in my head, I'm not kidding here. I'm glad I didn't say it. Sometimes when I'm on a live broadcast, I just kind of say things within reason. I'm not going to swear, cuss, or put anybody down here. But in my head, I was going to say, Derrick Henry had like 8,000 total yards in 4 years. And I thought that was going to blow. I thought that was going to get a big laugh. Like 8,000 is a little bit much, over dramatic. And I would have been laughed at because he had over 12,000 total yards. I assumed, and I've seen these before, but in my mind, when I put things in, other things go out, you forget about it. I thought that Derrick Henry averaged about 1,600 yards a season, and come to find out I was way off on that. 2,000 plus yards a season in that senior year. That's insane to me. I would imagine, look at that. 1,300 total attempts in college, averaging 8.7 yards a carry. Again, I would imagine that this kid had his pick. He could have went anywhere in the world to play college football, given these statistics. And again, I'm not even going to look into it because it's probably easy peasy. He was the most dominant high school football player of all time at the position. I mean, that's not even fair. That's ridiculous to me. It's like, someone just wrote it in with pen on their Madden team, but he lived it and he did it. That's 55 touchdowns his senior year. You're going to have to cut me off because I could keep going on and on about this.
Oh, me too. I mean, the guy averaged over his career 252 yards per game. I mean, you think about a high school football running back, they put 250 on the board in one game. You're like, wow, that's incredible. This guy averaged 250 a game over a 4-year high school career. So definitely one of the best to ever do it. And I'm with you. I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see Leonard Fournette back. I want these teams all at full strength, so we get the best possible football and the best matchups that we could ask for, and we certainly have that here this weekend. So we'll talk more NFL as we get down the road a little bit here, but it's Thursday, and we got Beastie on the show. That means one thing, NHL taking center stage here. I believe there's 9 games on the docket. We know the level of notes that this guy takes, so sit back, grab a pen here. Let's get some knowledge here in the NHL, Beastie. Break it down. What are we doing in hockey tonight?
Before we get into hockey, just briefly, I know this is off script here, but to me, Derrick Henry, the best to ever do it, because look what he's done. He could go anywhere, be with anybody, do anything he wants. And this guy always keeps his head down and works hard. He is the definition of a humble superstar. Putting up those kind of points, it's insane to me. And I've never heard a bad thing come out of the guy's mouth. So I really appreciate that. And I hope Derrick Henry is back. Now, when we talk about NHL, bring that graphic back up if you could, please. Because when you look at this, there's there's 9 games. And in the late game here, you go all the way, bottom to the right here. San Jose is at Seattle, and then Montreal is at Vegas in this one, and then Colorado at LA. That's 9:30. Florida at Edmonton, 9 p.m. Winnipeg, Nashville, 8 p.m. And then boom, the rest are at 7 p.m. So when you look at this one, I've done this for years here, that late round hammer. I remember the first broadcast, or actually the first phone call I ever had with you, Beer, was like a Zoom, like when we were starting to get the show together and you guys reached out and I was kind of fluttered and, very appreciative. We talked about, I don't know if you remember saying this, but you mentioned, the late round hammer. And it stuck in my head because I've been doing this for, years, playing this way, but I've never considered that. So when you look at this one, the main slate locks at 7. There's 4 games, but I love the idea of stacking these 10 p.m. games and so on and so forth. And I have final scores for each one of these games. That would keep us here till probably 9 o'clock tonight, which for me, it would be great. For the people watching, they'd be gone, they'd tune out. So to me, I have a few stacks that I'd like to mention, and I try and do, 1 or 2 cash game stacks and then 1 or 2 GPP stacks. Last time I was on and I talked hockey, I mentioned the Buffalo Sabres. And again, I didn't get a lot of hate from that, but I was made fun of on social media for it. And guess what? Buffalo scored 4 goals that game, and a few people who stacked Buffalo in GPPs did very well. So you just got to go with your gut here. And I'm not trying to talk like I'm the end all be all for hockey here, but you got to trust your own process. Or if you're here writing this stuff down, use what we say, write it down, and then kind of formulate a plan from there, write an outline or however you want to do it. So to me, I love the Buffalo Sabres again this evening. And when you look at what they're doing, Buffalo, I'm trying to find it here in my notes. Buffalo is at home against the Dallas Stars. A lot of folks are going to flock to Dallas. I've mentioned Dallas on this broadcast a whole heck of a lot. Roop Hintz, Jacob Peterson, Miro Heiskanen, their stud defensive. But when you look at the Buffalo Sabres here, nobody ever plays these guys. And again, they're getting a goal and a half here. They're the underdog, but I have a feeling, I have the final score in this one, Buffalo scoring 4 goals in comparison to Dallas's 2 goals. So again, we won't have to wait for best bets. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go Buffalo money line, or for even more plus money, you could take Buffalo plus a goal and a half. But to me, it stops and starts with the Florida Panthers this evening. They're playing in Edmonton, and what's perfect to me about this one is that I try not to just, just give out my ideals and why I'm doing this. I try and give out just a little bit of strategy here. Everybody and their mother loves to stack the Edmonton Oilers game in and game out, rightfully so. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, these guys are stone cold studs. So they're going to take away a massive part of ownership here, while the Florida Panthers, I believe they scored 4 or 5 goals like 2 or 3 games in a row here. So to me, the play that my favorite play on the entire slate is the Florida Panthers first line. Alexander Barkov, Sam Reinert, Carter Verhaeghe. Again, all 3 guys first line, and then Barkov and Sam Reinert first power play unit, and you can get a little second power play unit action from Carter Verhaeghe. Obviously, Barkov, 9.91 on FanDuel, $9,100, but then Reinert and Carter Verhaeghe, very cheap, very doable. So give me Florida's first line. And one more little, quick little hitter here. Again, Winnipeg is playing in Nashville. We've talked about Winnipeg briefly because the Wings were playing Winnipeg last time out. Last time I was on the broadcast here. But again, Winnipeg is playing well. They skate fast. They skate hard here. And Mark Shalif and Cole Perfetti, all first-line guys, they're going to take a certain part of ownership here, but they're playing in Nashville, and that's who I want to focus on here. Nashville's second line. They're dirt cheap, and I could see them. I have Nashville putting up around 4 or 5 goals in this one in comparison to Winnipeg's 2 goals. So to me, I'm all in on Nashville 2 and Florida 1 here. Nashville 2 briefly, Michael Granlund, and then you get Philip Forsberg and Matt Duchene. All 3 guys on the second line, but get this, all 3 guys are on the first power play unit as well. Winnipeg, they're not killing penalties. They're not in the favorable spot when they kill penalties here. I believe they're killing like 17 I believe that 75+%, which you might think is high, but a really elite team is killing penalties at like an 89% clip here. So if Nashville can get in their hair and move the puck around, Winnipeg's going to be undisciplined. They're going to make mistakes, and we are going to absolutely cash in on the Nashville Predators second line. As I said, Granlund, Philip Forsberg, Matt Duchene, all 3 dudes on the second line, all 3 guys on the first power play. And one more little tidbit, if I may. As I said, I love a little late game hammer, and to me, it's all about Vegas playing at home against Montreal here. The money line is about 78.7% on Vegas right now, and fair enough. So again, Florida 1, Nashville 2. And if you want to mix in a little chalk here, play the Las Vegas's first line: Chandler Stevenson, Mark Stone, and Evgeny Dadonov. All three guys first line, and two, Chandler Stevenson and Dadonov play on the second power play unit. So the three lines that I've laid out here, there's a lot of good mixing and matching we can do. You don't have to play them all three lines straight up, but mix and match here. But again, make sure make sure you get your lines in before lock, or like I do, the after hour slate: Montreal, Vegas, San Jose, Seattle. There's some movement to be made around that one as well. So to me, it's all about Florida 1, all about Nashville 2, and a little mix and match razzle dazzle of the Vegas, I was going to say Vegas Raiders, the Vegas Golden Knights first line. And that's what I have here. And again, you're going to have to keep it here to the end of the broadcast, but I'm sure people can start to see where I'm leaning with my best bets. But keep it here. I got some doozies.
Here we go. We'll finalize that here coming up shortly. Everyone's favorite part of the show, best bets coming on. So great wrap up of 9 games. Sometimes, I know you could probably go on and on and on these games when there's so many. I feel the same when there's a big slate of NBA. I feel like I could talk about it for an hour, but we want to get the people the information, get those lineups building. You got a little bit of time here before the slate locks here. Some late night hammer action in some of those late games. Love it. So hockey taking center stage here. Let's not forget.
And briefly, not to cut you off, it can get overwhelming. I know I felt that same way when I first started playing hockey or NBA. You look at it and you're like, holy smokes, there's 9 or 10 games and the lines, you get confused. That's why I started writing everything down, because this way I give you 3 good meat and potatoes lines. And then after that, you're free to build as you like. That's just the direction I'm going. Hopefully other folks join suit, and we'll see you tomorrow at the top of the standings.
There you go. Yeah, you gotta find a way to narrow things down in DFS. Even in football, I know you're gonna want to. I'm gonna be watching all these games, and you want a piece of every game and every play, and even when you're betting, you don't have to bet every game and every total and every spread and every parlay. Like you got to find ways to minimize things. But in DFS, it really applies. So on these bigger slates, you got to eliminate some teams and really cut your player pool down. And make life easy on you. And one of the biggest things you said there that I'm a big proponent of, trust your gut. You're going to hear a lot of advice. That's what we are here for, is to help you out. But at the end of the day, don't forget, these are things that we like, and we want it always to be right. That's obviously the goal here of doing these shows, but it's just not the way it's going to be. So take what we're telling you, add it to what you're doing, your own personal research. Then if there's a match, boom, you like it too. So just find a way to kind of narrow things down. But don't forget, trust your gut. I think it's very, very important here in anything in life. You got to trust your own instincts here. So anything else here in the NHL before we turn the page here to some NBA real quick?
No, I do briefly want to say, and this is a little bit of a PSA, only don't overextend yourself. Just because you're watching this broadcast or you see another broadcast, don't overextend yourself with your bets. Don't spend more than you can lose here, because what we're doing, at least what I'm doing, it's all fun. Yeah, we're talking, $5-10, maybe even $20, but just don't overdo it. You know what I mean? Friends, family, we don't need to mortgage our house to play, NHL DFS this evening. So when it's all broken down to its simplest form, Beer, this should be fun. That's why we're together, several times a week, because we enjoy this. So don't overextend yourself.
Yes, very important. Bankroll management, whether it's betting, DFS, make sure you have a plan, you stick with the plan, and the plan's not always going to go as you want it, but chasing those losses can be very detrimental. So set up a plan, have some fun with it, and roll from there. You do it right, you're going to build a bankroll, then hey, maybe you're able to move up a level. You're able to go from $5-10 a game. Now you're betting 25, 50, but continuing to take those baby steps like we always talk about. Very, very important here, whether it's DFS or more importantly, here with sports betting. Super easy now to dig a hole with some of these apps and live betting, things like that. You got to be smart with what you do. So we will continue to preach that here on the show. All right, let's talk NBA. Just 3 games here on the slate here tonight. We have New Orleans and New York, Phoenix and Dallas, which should be a hell of a game. And then the late night hammer tonight in the NBA, the Pacers heading out to Oakland to take on the Golden State Warriors. So we'll start with injuries as we always do. Some of the big names we know are not going to play tonight. Phoenix going to once again be without their big man, DeAndre Ayton. So JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo, who they recently signed, will step in there. The Pacers could be in trouble with some of the bigs, and I guess this is the matchup. You don't want your big men playing. Golden State is not going to hurt you that much. They generally don't even use a big, but Miles Turner will continue to be out, and Domantas Sabonis also looking doubtful here tonight. Golden State side, they're going to be without Draymond Green and Otto Porter Jr. here. The Knicks going to be missing a bunch of pieces here: Cam Reddish, Nerlens Noel, and Derrick Rose, and we have a questionable tag on Devontae Graham. So not the long laundry list of names that we usually get, but obviously some big names missing here tonight. So Beastie, take the NHL hat off, put the NBA hat on. Who are you looking at here tonight to play in some DFS contests in the NBA?
I don't know about you, and to be fair, I don't know how many times or if I've even ever told anybody. Maybe I dabbled a little bit when I talked about NHL, but I've made a killing over the years on smaller game slates. And again, it's what are you into? I know a lot of folks, they hate small game slates. They love those big 10-plus game, mains or everything. I love a good 2-3 game slate here. And again, after hours, I've made a killing at that. But again, when you look at this one, there's 3 games. Main is at 7:30 or so. There's only 3 games to pick from, which again, in a way, when we're playing DFS, it's all about, getting odds in our favor, ratios in our favor here. So to me, I love a good Dallas stack, your Dallas Mavericks here, Luka Doncic, excuse me. That's a no-brainer, right? They're playing home against Phoenix. Phoenix, they're okay. I believe they're top 10 in terms of defending a point guard and or shooting guard. But to me, Luka, $10,900. We look at this guy, most players, their floor could literally be 0.0. To me, Luka tonight, his floor is at about 20.5 points in this one. His ceiling is well above 70, maybe even 75. Again, just giving you the highs and lows of this one. But personally, I think Luka is on the hook here. And this is on FanDuel, about 55 total points in this one. And then run it back with Tim Hardaway, the old Michigander, the old University of Michigan basketball player. He's only $5,000 on FanDuel here. As I said, Dallas is hosting the Phoenix Suns. We know how Booker and Phoenix loves to run up and down the court. They're fast paced. And guess what? Dallas can hang with the best of them here. So when you look at this one, I love a little 1-2 combo of Luka and Tim Hardaway. And let's run it back in the same game with Devin Booker, shooting guard here. He's $9,000 on FanDuel. And again, Dallas, they're top 10 against that same position, shooting guards here. So to me, so far, Luka, Tim Hardaway, and Devin Booker. But those are the easy ones. I know a lot of folks, they build their line and it's very top heavy. So when you get the power forward or center, you're like scratching and clawing to fill a line here. Well, look at Mitchell Robinson, the New York Knicks. He plays center there, and they're hosting the New Orleans Pelicans here. Only $4,900 here. He's got a ceiling of probably around 40 to 45 total points on FanDuel, mind you, but at only $4,900, it's kind of a no-brainer. So if you're going to build that way, Luka, Hardaway to a certain extent, and Booker, we can kind of mix and match, even with a little bit of Andrew Wiggins action at shooting forward here. Golden State hosts the Pacers, as you said, and I think, although last I looked, Beer, the Golden State Warriors, they're kind of hurting with the players and their studs there. But again, a guy like Andrew Wiggins is going to see, a ton of minutes. What are we talking? 20 plus minutes. And I think that's even, on the light side here. But give me Andrew Wiggins, only $6,300. And then you're free and choose to kind of, mix and match where you want. If you want to do the little Dallas Mavericks and Golden State Warriors little stack here, have at it. Jordan Poole would also be in that kind of mind frame here. Jordan Poole, point guard, shooting guard for the Golden State Warriors. Only $5,200 or so. If you get a guy like Luka in there and a guy like Devin Booker, we're going to have to mix and match here. And there's only 3 games. So there's a ton of little combos we can get going here. So that's the way I'm leaning. And I'm figuring it out live as I'm going on here. So, excuse me with the stuttering and the stammering. I get so excited when I look at this stuff. Sometimes my brain is moving too fast to get it out of my mouth here.
Hey, we love it. I mean, you got NHL going on, NBA, and it's a lot when you got 2 sports going on at one time. So agree with a lot of what you said. I think the high end, if you can get to Luka, I think he's easily got the highest ceiling on this slate. If you want to get away, because he is going to be highly owned, coming off that big game the other night, just had a monster game here. I don't mind the matchup here for him. Chris Paul at one time was the premier defender at this position. Still a very good defender, but I don't think he's going to slow Luka down much. But if you do want to pivot, a little riskier here, but I think you can go to Steph Curry in that same price point. I think you're going to get a lot less ownership there. The worry, obviously, with that one, do we see what we saw the other night against the Pistons, where the blowout comes into play? We don't get 4 quarters of Steph Curry. That is the concern here in this one, especially if the Pacers are going to be without some of their best players in Miles Turner and Sabonis, more importantly, who can provide a lot of offense for them. But Curry going to come in at dramatically less ownership. So those guys on the high end, Julius Randle is in play as well. Jonas Valanciunas, an interesting center play. But let's talk some value here at center. I think you got a couple places you can go, and both guys on Phoenix are certainly the guys that we can look at, McGee and Biyombo. I prefer JaVale McGee, a guy that doesn't need a ton of minutes to really put fantasy points on the board. We've seen this guy produce at an incredible level. So even without him playing 30, 35 minutes, he's never going to be that guy. I think he's got a lot of upside at his price. We have to talk Indiana here against the Warriors again, missing some of their key pieces. So Chris Duarte should play some big minutes. Torrey Craig, another guy that should play a lot of minutes. And then Jeremy Lamb, a minimum price on DraftKings. So you can certainly do worse with him, a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries, but a lot of upside in Jeremy Lamb's game. Other side, Jonathan Kuminga's really started to come on here for Golden State with Draymond Green on the shelf. So he feels like a cash game lock, even in tournaments. Yeah, he'll be a little bit highly owned, but I like going that route as well. So those are some of the key plays for me tonight. Stars and Scrubs are absolutely in play on this slate. And again, Steph Curry, that wild card. If you go heavy on Indiana, you run it back with Steph Curry. I think that's probably the best bet. Hopefully the Pacers can keep that game close, keep him viable for those 4 quarters to pay that price tag off. So that is how I am attacking NBA tonight, but it's best bets time. NHL about to, puck drop, going to be going here soon. So we got to get the people some winners here. Who are your best bets here for this Thursday night?
Well, let me briefly preface this by saying some nights it's the over-under, some nights it's the money line, but tonight I'm focusing in on the goal differential here. So anybody that's out there watching it now, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I love the Nashville Predators minus a goal and a half. You can get that one for plus 152. I love the Florida Panthers minus a goal and a half. You can get that one for plus 138. And then the kicker here, I love the Vegas Golden Knights minus 2.5 goals. You can get that one for plus 122. When you parlay it all together, the 3-leg parlay, you can get that one for plus 1231. So $10 would net you around $123. So Nashville minus a goal and a half, Florida minus a goal and a half, and the Vegas Golden Knights, who I have winning 5-2 minus 2.5 goals here, plus 122. So that's my little 3-legged NHL parlay this evening, Bear.
Love it. All right, I'm going to give you 3 picks here in the NBA. My favorite pick out of each game. When there's 3 games, we can try to find some things for you guys to look at. So the early game, 7:30 tip here with New Orleans and the Knicks. I like the Knicks here at home. -4 looks like across the board here for the Knicks. This one opened at 2.5. We've seen it swing in favor of the Knicks. So no surprise. They've been the better team here. New Orleans has really been a struggle. We know the whole Zion Williamson debacle. Is he ever going to play again? But without him, I just think the Knicks, even with some of the guys that they're going to be missing, are the much better team here. So gladly lay the 4 points there in that one. Let's move to that Phoenix-Dallas game. This one should be a lot of fun. I like a total in this one. I like this one going over the number here tonight. So total sitting 216.5. I know Phoenix can be very good defensively. It hasn't been as good of late. And Dallas, the concern, they're in a back-to-back, but I think there's going to be a lot of offense here in this showdown. So even with those concerns, number seems too low to me. I would have pegged this one around 220 with these 2 teams. So you're getting a 3.5 point advantage. I'm going to go over 216.5 there. And then the late night game, I'm going to go under in that one. Golden State, sure, they can put points on the board, but I think Indiana is going to stay in this game long enough, but I think they're going to struggle to score points in this one. So this one's sitting at 217.5. There's some 218s out there. I'm going to go under on this one. So under 218. So sum it up, New York -4 in that early game. Phoenix and Dallas over 216.5. And we're going to go under 218 in that late game with Golden State and Indiana. So 6 picks on the board. We'll be back tomorrow to recap how we did with those best bets, continue to look at the NFL, NBA, big slate of games as always on Friday night. If there's any NHL, we'll talk about that as well. But always here to have a good time. So we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here on this Thursday. Beastie, final thoughts for the people here again. 6 best bets on the board.
Yes.
Hopefully a nice 5-1, 6-0 night for us here tonight.
No doubt. Yeah. Enjoy your evening. Right now it's Thursday evening, which means it might as well be the weekend because tomorrow's Friday. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy these football games. What a time to be alive. This is one of, if not my most favorite weekends of all sports, because it's the divisional round. We know what next week brings, Championship Sunday, but let's revel in what we got going on right now. Don't look too far ahead. Enjoy the evening, and thanks for having me. I'm sure we will cross paths again soon.
Absolutely. Also, a special shout out to our new sponsor, Better Rate Mortgage. Again, at Better Rate Mortgage, family is more than blood. So if you are looking for that new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, get treated better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit mybetterrate.com. Once again, that phone number, 248-480-4467 for all of your mortgage needs. We are glad and proud to have them aboard as the official sponsor here of the Woodward Bet Show. So that will wrap us up here for this Thursday night. Again, enjoy the NHL, NBA. Good luck with your bets and your DFS contest for Detroit Beastie, for our boys Spencer and Easy behind the glass, and for Scott for whatever the hell he's doing on his day off. I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck tonight, and we'll catch you right back here tomorrow.